What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Action Sunday. And today I'm going to wrap up my almost, it feels like a month long of Death Wish movies. And today I'm going to look at the Death Wish remake and compare and contrast to the original. All right. So obviously this movie came out in 2018. Okay. The setting is, I would say, kind of the same. We got Bruce Willis in the titular role, but now let's go a little further. So what makes this different from the original? Well, let's see. Obviously, we know Paul Kersey and his family live in New York. You know, the wife gets killed in a brutal home invasion. His daughter gets raped, and of course, she suffers PTSD. However, let's change it a little differently. So, how does the remake change it? Well, instead of New York, it's Chicago, which I find appropriate because considering at the end of the original Death Wish movie, Paul Kersey leaves New York and somehow he ends up in Chicago. So I kind of find that appropriate. Now, as for the wife and daughter, well, the home invasion does go as follows, but here's the thing. The daughter doesn't get raped. Also, she's not married. That's the other interesting thing. She's more of like your typical average American teenager, but the wife does get killed, but the girl ends up in a coma instead of suffering from PTSD and being forced to send to asylum. So I feel like, to me, this feels more attuned to something to a real scenario. Again, I'm kind of reflecting, real scenarios back then and now. Again, I've said this before. I'm going to say this until I'm blue in the face. Things have never changed. And of course, this just shows me, hey, if you want to defend yourself, just stand up. And to quote Four Horsemen, Arn Anderson, I wouldn't be the guy that says, don't harm me or anything, and just give up. Here's my car, here's my keys, and all that. No, I would pull out my Glock and blow that guy's brains in. That's self-defense. And of course, I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying that's what I would have done. Fight for yourself. Stand up and protect yourself and your fucking family and your property or your pets. All right, but now again. Sorry to go off on that rant. So. But what else has changed? Well, instead of a New York architect, Paul Kersey is a Chicago trauma surgeon, or surgeon to be short. So yeah, so essentially he's one of those jobs where hey, he's got to deal with a lot of shit. And he's got to deal with a lot of surgeries on a nightly basis. Again, and then what happens is his wife and daughter end up in the ER, and things go off from there. And I kind of like some of these interesting creative differences, and it really works. Okay. But now I'm going to answer the question is, how is this Death Wish remake deemed controversial compared to the original? Well, there's a scene later on in the movie, in the last half hour, where Paul Kersey he's tracking down a potential mugger, one of the muggers that might have taken out his wife, to a nightclub. And he ends up shooting up the whole place. Gee, I wonder why. The Pulse nightclub shooting just 2 years prior. Now I see why it's deemed controversial. And of course, also, again, there are a couple moments where he shoots people of color, which again I don't want to go deep. Again, people will call, he's racist because he's killing black people, or he's killing brown people, kind of thing. No, he's Again, he was going after drug dealers, okay? That's the thing, okay? Unlike what Paul Kersey was doing, he was defending himself from potential muggers, and he was kind of cleaning up the streets a little bit. And of course, the formula still stays true where, okay, the police are onto something. There's a vigilante afoot. Hey, people are saying, hey, this guy's a hero. And they go so far as to include Mad Cow, what's his name? The famous Chicago shock jock in this movie. I was like, holy cow. I'm like, I didn't expect him. But yeah, at least they kind of kept that, make things kind of real in more of a real world setting. And it definitely works, okay? Sure, the violence is a little over the top. And sure, definitely, the home invasion scenes just turn this movie from a action thriller to more of like a slasher film, almost, essentially. That's what I was getting with some of these scenes, okay? But as for Bruce Willis, man, he totally brings his shit. And of course, it's kind of weird. It's like, okay, so he's never fired a gun before, yet this is the same guy that's played John McClane and other badasses in films. And here it's like a complete opposite, which again, that's what the character of Paul Kersey was supposed to be. He's the guy that anti-gun, doesn't want to take up a gun until, as I mentioned in the original, it was like one trip to Arizona, he picks up a gun, he realizes, hey, you know what? Maybe I should start to defend myself. Here, it's like he doesn't mess around. It's like he should try learning how to defend himself. So after seeing things on TV, he ends up getting a gun. He learns how to do this. He learns how to shoot. He learns how to fight. And essentially, you could kind of see the metamorphosis of Paul Kersey at that point in the movie. And of course, I love how they did it. It's like a bit of a split screen. You see him doing his day job, and then you see him training at the same time. I felt like that was a pretty neat thing. Kind of speed up the movie a little bit, even though I felt like, yo, slow it down. We want to see how this plays out. And of course, another interesting thing is, okay, how different is it? How did the muggers track down Paul Kersey's family? Well, instead of a couple of guys harassing people in a supermarket, somehow Kersey's family is out at dinner where there's a valet parking, and apparently the valet decides to, hey, he's targeting people that places for them to rob. And he's going in, he's getting their information off the dashboards if they have that and kind of thing, kind of technology in the car, which of course most cars these days have built-in GPS and all that, except for my wife's car. But you get my point. So yeah, I see where like again, things will hit home for May in this remake. And yes, obviously the controversial moment is, of course, the shooting. But outside of that, the story is great, okay? And it definitely leaves you open for, okay, yeah, you want to see more of it. And the ending definitely is a nod to the original, where he just does the finger gun to a bully in the crowd kind of thing, which definitely works. Kind of thing. And again, I'm not knocking on this movie. It's a decent remake. And if you just take the controversy aside, the whole gun control bullshit, political nonsense, it's, again, I'd rather focus on the action, okay? Fuck all this nonsense. Let's just enjoy the damn movie. That's what I'm trying to say, all right? And with that in mind, I'm going to give the Death Wish remake, I'm going to give it a solid 7. I want to rate it a little higher, but again, like, to me, I feel like this is almost on par as the original. Again, it's like now comparing night and day. But again, where you like Charles Bronson's performance in the character of Paul Kersey or Bruce Willis, you either get a good trade-off. You either get the slow plotting stuff, or you get more action-packed pace in this movie. All right. Again, it's totally your preference. I was able to get on demand, man, for the time being. Unfortunately, I don't know if you can. I believe it is available on the TNT app. If you want to give us a watch, I encourage it again. But again, be caution, okay? And just again, check your brain at the door and just think of it as it's a brainless, mindless action flick that's a remake of a classic movie with Bronson. All right. So that does it for this week. Let me know what you think. Those videos, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for some more awesome and exciting content.